Governor of Minnesota and not Secretary of State. I'm the only candidate of the 6 that is actually talking about election integrity. I'm the only one that's been attacked by the Democrat Governors Association and CNN because I'm the only one that says there was widespread election fraud in 2020, and that is the truth. And I never thought I'd be doing this. I went to school for law enforcement. I served in law enforcement myself. Had a back injury, had to leave that profession. Been a small business owner ever since. 2016, I was energized by President Trump to run for my local city council, and that's what I did. Take my city back. And actually, on Thursday of last week, we became the first city, and it's sad that I have to say this because our constitutional rights are being eroded, the first city in Minnesota to be a health freedom sanctuary city. We're also a Second Amendment sanctuary city too as well. But if we don't start taking our country back at the local level, and at the state level, and at the federal level, we are doomed. We're absolutely doomed because they've infiltrated our county boards, our school boards, our city councils, and our state offices. This election isn't about saving Washington, D.C. as much as the senators and the congressmen in D.C. would like you to know that. It's about saving our states to save our country. And that's what we have to do. And in Minnesota, we have phenomenal Secretary of State candidates. And I'm confident that they'll beat Steve O in Minnesota. And I'm the only governor candidate publicly stating that we will open up an investigation into her and figure out what she's doing in that office because we know that she's ballot harvesting and she stole both of her elections. I'm all about accountability and shrinking the size of government, and what happens in Minnesota affects Wisconsin, and same thing what happens in Wisconsin affects Minnesota because we are neighbors, we share a beautiful border, and we have a lot of commerce with each other. And we have to save our states, and you guys are better suited to do it because we're a divided legislature in Minnesota. We have a Republican Senate and a Democrat House and a Democrat executive branch.
Communist governor.
It's communist, exactly. And Tim Walz is a damn tyrant. He let our cities burn to the ground. Minneapolis and St. Paul burnt. All because he didn't stand up and fight back, which was a catalyst for the rest of the country to burn. The blue state governor said it's okay for your cities to burn down. And for those of you that didn't know, I know I got a lot of Minnesota people here, but remember the abandonment of the 3rd precinct in Minneapolis, that police department? Governor Walz gave that order. I want to hold him accountable for that.
Crime thing. I'll remember the name. There's a website where you can literally, it's an anarchist website, and it's like a think tank, and it is fascinating. And there is a podcast on there that literally details step by step how they took the 3rd precinct. And if you want to know what they thought was the most valuable lesson they learned from that operation, it was the success of the human shields. They took your children and they used them to shield themselves. And they say it. It's in their words. You can hear all about it. There's written testimony on it as well. And they don't even hide it. They don't even hide it. And they say things that they learned from similar operations all over the world. You'll hear them say, move like water. What does that mean? They learned in Hong Kong how to avoid the tear gas. So what the crowd does is they move like water. So when the canisters are fired, they all move in one direction. And somebody throws it away, and they move back, and they reclaim the ground. These tactics are proliferated worldwide because these organizations, they are a network of many organizations. They use this website, this anarchist website, to share their tactics and everything else. So Minneapolis was used, right? Minnesota was used, and your children were used and exploited by people who are trained to incite and agitate. And they don't care. It's because that's going to feed their narrative. And guess what? They're from out of town, most of them. So they leave town and they leave your children holding the baby, right? They leave your children to grow up with criminal records. They leave your children to battle in the courts on their own and have that burden. And they never come back and face trial. And they do it all over the country. And they've done, if you want to see it in their own words, you can go on that website. I'll remember what it's like. I'm sure it's crinkly, but I'll check.
God bless Lara Logan for bringing truth to us.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that we're pushing in our coalition. The question was give back to paper ballots.
Yes.
And we all saw what the machines do, right? Cannot be trusted. So one thing that we're pushing, and me specifically in my state, is to get back to precinct voting. In Nevada, in Nevada, we have a lot of precincts, but the largest one is 3,000 to 5,000. We can count that in a matter of hours. We can do it on election day. Another thing that we're pushing is to get rid of early voting, because they do a lot of shenanigans in the early voting 2 weeks. They figure out how much they need during those 2 weeks, so that we're advocating single day voting, and I'm for making it a holiday, just like President Trump said. We talked about the voter rolls. The voter rolls are an absolute mess. We heard about Eric. We got to get rid of Eric. The millisecond I get Secretary of State in Nevada, they're gone. The Dominion machines are gone.